Good morning, Tattooed Alex here on a beautiful Colorado day on June 11th, Saturday, out for a nice ride. I like to ride in the afternoon, but it seems like we've been getting a lot of scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, so I'd hit a nice ride in the morning. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today was getting tattooed, since my name being Tattooed Alex. Tattoos are one of the things I enjoy. I enjoy being tattooed. I enjoy seeing other tattoos. It's a very artistic form, and I have zero artistic ability, so I really love seeing what other people can do. I have been getting tattooed for pretty much about 25 years. When I got my first tattoo. Growing up as a teenager, obviously, tattoos weren't as common back then in the 80s as they are now. I mean, I know you had a lot of the hair bands getting tattooed and being tattooed, but it wasn't a huge thing that you kind of saw regular people with. So I'll never forget, I went to this water park down in South Florida, and they actually put tattoos on you, pretty much a glorified licking stick they put on you. And so I was out there, kind of saw what I wanted, waited till right before we left, and went in there, got this, it was like this cobra tattoo on my left arm. And I sat there and they said, it's obviously South Florida, pretty hot, and I asked them how long it lasts, and they said, pretty much about, probably 5 to 7 days, depending on if you get it wet, how much you sweat, if you get direct water on it. So, I mean, I tell you, that thing probably lasted at least 7 days, if not longer. I was so careful not to get it wet and getting in the shower, and I was so proud of this thing. And I remember my mom was upset, ended up telling my dad that it was real. My dad was working in Connecticut at the time, and she gave him a phone call. I had to explain to him that it was fake. And remember, I was working for this, kind of for the school, they were doing these dance recitals, and so the dance companies were paying us, and there were a couple of us that were doing the lights and sound for it. And after that, we usually went out and bought some beer, and because of my licking stick, the guys were like, hey man, go out to a liquor store and see if you can get a couple cases of beer. So sure enough, I went out there, rolled my sleeve up. I can't imagine what I looked like. Yes, at that time, 17 years old. I think I just finished my junior year right before going into my senior year that summer. Went in there and rolled my sleeve up, flashing my tattoo. And yeah, to be honest, I don't even remember back then. It looked pretty good. I mean, now I can tell if one's fake. So back then, I don't know if the guy could tell or not. But sure enough, I picked up 2 cases of beer, and the guy sold it to me. So I couldn't have been prouder of flashing my tattoo there. So fast forward a couple of years, I joined the military, and get exposed to a lot of tattoos out there. And I was stationed in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba for a couple of years, and obviously you couldn't get tattooed down there on the base. And so I'd taken leave a couple of times and went out to the States and see my family and things, but didn't really have time to get tattooed. And my mom was a full-blooded Italian, old-school Italian, so if you had a tattoo, it meant you had spent time in prison. So that was the way she viewed it. She's kind of relaxed a little bit now because I am so tattooed. They don't really think like that. Although she always says how I've ruined my body, but I mean, she's used to it. She just, she was from that era that did not like tattoos. So I'll take you up to my experience, my first tattoo. So a couple of years I've been reading these tattoo magazines and felt like I knew what to ask, what to do. So I was stationed in Virginia Beach, and I was going to school out there for a couple months. And you'd think there'd be a lot of tattoo shops on that area, but there actually weren't. There was no internet at the time, so I had to open up the trusty phone book, find one, pull out my map, and start looking for a tattoo shop. So sure enough, I found one. Headed that way, got stuck in an enormous amount of traffic, all the military driving in and out of there. So all in all, probably took me about 2.5 hours to get there. And I get there, it's old school tattoo shop, and anybody that's from that era, 70s, 80s, probably a little bit going in the 90s, you walked into a tattoo shop and they had flash all over the wall. They had all the different designs and basically had a number, and you went into the tattoo shop and said, I would like number 17 or 18, and you know, he'd pull up the stencil, they'd look at the size, you'd tell the guy where he wanted it, he'd make a copy of it according to the size you wanted, make that stencil, put it on your arm, and you were set. There wasn't a whole lot of custom work at the time. Later on in the early 90s, I did end up getting some custom work by a guy that was pretty good. But in the beginnings, I get tattooed. This is an old school biker dude. I mean, old heavy guy. He's got a big old beard, long hair, and a ponytail. Big old beard gut, got a motorcycle vest on, and you know, I'm sitting in there and I'm kind of looking and trying to find what I wanted, and I found one that was pretty close to what I'd wanted. He just had to pull a couple of things out. I remember the guy was a real jerk about it. I was asking him questions about if they had an autoclave or if they used new needles, and the guy was just a butthead. He had said, hey, we're playing 20 questions here, you're going to get tattooed. So any normal person at that time would have walked out, but I was hell-bent on getting tattooed. So I went ahead and sat there, got tattooed. I remember he put the stencil about my mid-arm, kind of close to my bicep, and I'm like, nah, I want it further up. And he's like, hey, that's your shoulder, that's not your arm. And the guy was just a butthead. So he moved it up there, tattooed me. Boy, I had no idea what that felt like. And, that first sting, it definitely hurts, boy, getting tattooed. Depending what part of the body, as I've learned through the years, it definitely hurts more than others. For the most part, you tolerate it. I mean, it's one of those things where depending where you get it, you tolerate it. You go in knowing that there's going to be a lot of pain to it. You go in expecting the worst and hope for the best. And sometimes it's kind of surprising when they hit some areas that actually don't hurt that bad. It's actually, some say, the tattoo goes numb. You don't even feel it. A bunch of BS. I can't say I've ever had a tattoo go numb, because what they typically do is when they tattoo the outline, they're also rubbing on it with that solution or salve to kind of help out with the pain a little bit and clean it off. That constant wiping hurts, and then they go back and add color to it or shading, and that tattoos over areas. And so I don't know, those that say that their tattoo goes numb and they don't feel a thing, it's BS, or I don't know. No one I've ever talked to has felt that. I've got both arms fully sleeved, the top third of my back, my calf, half of my chest, my ankles. I mean, I've got quite a bit of tattoos here, the top of the back of my neck. I mean, I'm fully aware of areas that hurt, and areas that are tolerable, and areas that may not hurt actually that bad. There may not be a whole lot of nerve endings there, but I can tell you, there is a pain associated with that, and my attitude with that is it's a rite of passage, boy. You get a tattoo. It hurts. That's just the way it is. If it doesn't hurt, a lot more people would get tattooed, and not that I care. I'm not one that's, a snob about things. Hey, get tattooed. Just don't be a wuss about it. If you go in and get tattooed, don't start whining to the tattoo artist how it hurts. If the guy's been tattooing for any length of period, the guy knows it hurts. The guy, that's what he does for a living. You don't need to keep reminding the guy how it hurts. The problem is your tolerance to pain sucks. So I'll tell you right now, my advice is if you have a very, very low tolerance to pain, I recommend not getting tattooed, plain and simple. Because if you're going to go in there whining, I've watched some videos, guys are yelling. It's a joke. Man up, get in there, shut up, and get tattooed. Yeah, it hurts. Some areas are more tender than others. Just breathe it out, And as far as a woman, hey, I know a lot of women get tattoos in the bony areas. They hurt, man. That's part of it. I know a lot of women that are tattooed, and hey, you got to be kind of tough. I mean, hell, you went through childbirth, or if you've had kids, that's my take on getting tattooed. And if it hurts, the answer is yes, but it all depends on your tolerance to pain, and certain areas have higher nerve endings than others. So, but So yeah, moving on. I've been getting tattooed since about 90, roughly about 90, 91. I probably have been getting tattooed. So I've seen a lot of good work. I've seen some okay work. Not every tattoo I have is, was a well thought out masterpiece. I mean, sometimes some of my tattoos are well thought out for my kids. And different things that have meaning to me in life. Some aren't, some I just thought were fun, man. I just went in there and, I kind of saw something. I never really went and got tattooed on the spot. I usually, if I had an idea, I usually kind of sit for a little bit and kind of decided if I wanted it. I never tried to really do an impulse tattoo to go in there. I kind of always, kind of sat and kind of decided, kind of sat with something for a little bit and, at least a week, bare minimum, and decided if that would work. It's funny, I just saw a new app yesterday on iOS that has a thing where you could take a picture of something or a design and put it on your body or see what it looks like. I thought that was actually pretty neat. I actually read an article here recently. They're talking about having some new tattoo ink that actually disappears, or I don't know, I guess through the skin, through time, it just degrades and eventually goes out, which I find kind of strange. I mean, I'd be interested in knowing what that time period is that degrades and, kind of goes through your skin, because, you'd hate to get a tattoo and then it spends 6 months to a year looking like crap while the thing is getting out of your system. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel kind of strange about that as far as tattoos. The whole part about a tattoo is making that commitment to it being permanent. So I find it kind of strange, getting a tattoo and knowing that after a couple of years or how long it lasts, that it eventually would disappear. And then have to get tattooed again, So, I mean, granted, in the same respect, people that get, that get laser removal. So I guess if you're one of those people that can't deal with permanence and, having something permanent on your skin and you just can't stomach having something on there that you want it to go away, or, you're one of those guys that worry about when you get older. I have a lot of people ask me, hey, Alex, what are you going to do when you get older? I'm like, I don't know. I look like some badass old tattoo dude, I mean, at that point, if I still got my family, I still got my brains, my sanity, and, I'm still able to walk around, go to the bathroom on my own, shit, I'll be perfectly happy, man. I won't really care what my tattoos look like, to be honest with you. I mean, it's one of those things in life that you enjoy. Getting, tattoos are part of me. That's who I am. That's why I'm Tattooed Alex. Years ago, probably about 14, 15 years ago, when everybody's getting the internet and Yahoo IDs and all this, and I was trying to figure out what to use for an ID and a name, and everything was the same, and I put Alex Sutton, or my birthday, and everything was taken. And so at the time I was getting tattooed quite a bit, and I just went with Tattooed Alex, and it stuck. Something that I have a couple of different accounts, and it's one of those that just lasted, one of those that I used a lot, and one of the ones that I don't know, it best suits me because of who I am and being tattooed. So, but I'd love to hear about your tattoo stories. If you got any horror stories or any great stories, I mean, we've got a lot of awesome artists out there, and the things they're doing out there is just phenomenal out there. I've gotten some outstanding pieces the last couple of years, and my daughter just got one. We kind of got a matching tattoo here recently, so her first tattoo, and so yeah, I'd love to hear about your tattooed stories and what you have, how long you've been getting tattooed, and maybe what you want to get tattooed, or got any questions, please hit a like, subscribe, and Tattooed Alex signing off.